Well, howdy folks. How we doing this morning? It's another day along the Piggy way. We're going to have our way any kind of how. Yeah, I'm just that silly, folks. I got one yakking at me wanting in. Come on a little bit. You want in, come on. Get in there. There we go. We'll see how many times I have to get up and down there and this cat's wanting in and out. Of course, I might not know about the wanting out because I'm outside and they're inside. Till I get this done. Give me a sup of coffee here. Well, we had us a very interesting morning on our drive down during our morning drive. Like the weather turned back off cold and everybody's brains froze and didn't know how to drive. People using their bright lights even more than normal. Getting right up on your tail with them bright lights. I got others in the car with me, so I can't really respond the way I would like to them. Which is just as well. It keeps me tempered. And responding more properly. Just do what I got to do and just go on with it. Had them with the bright lights, tailgating, pulled out right in front of you, not putting no gas with it. Had one behind me blinding me and was veered off into a left turn lane. And I looked back in time to be able to hit the brakes because somebody had shot out right in front of me going all the way across the road. If I hadn't hit my brakes, I'd have hit them because they were being stupid. Then we got behind folks that were going real slow, which is just as well. It's like I talk about everything. There's a reason and a purpose for everything. It can be aggravating as all get out. But there's a reason and a purpose for everything. Normally we arrive at a certain time. And, we've gotten it a little bit earlier because, that little bit earlier, 2 or 3 minutes, allows us to get through traffic a little better because a lot of that ain't out there at that particular time. Well, something that could have been done last night was desired to have been done this morning, so that kept us from leaving our first destination at a more proper time. That automatically nullified our having gotten there just a couple of minutes early. Then we ran into all that other. But everything has a reason and a purpose. So whatever the reason and purpose was, I don't know, might not ever know. But there it is. It's done. It's over with. She got a little hungry and still recouping from stuff. And so we stopped at Bo's and got us a biscuit. And had that on the way home. We couldn't finish all of our biscuits, so we gave what little bit was left to the Charlie. We got inside and he could smell it, and he was bugging the fool out of her, and she was trying to get situated. She not even alone. I said, but he smells it, Mama. Anyway, we went through all that this morning, and man, it was a pain. But everything has a reason and a purpose to it. So, whatever it was. And when we arrived at our main destination and everything, standing outside for a minute while she done what she had to do. Her fire engine take off. Well, we got around and went through Bose and got our biscuits, got turned around going back up the main highway. We saw a rollback with a car on the back of it, so we figured there'd been a wreck. That might have been what that fire engine was about. Who knows? That reason and purpose may have been keeping us out of that wreck. You never know. You just never know. So that, you got to sit back and look at things and think them through rather than just react to a situation. Think about the situation and think about it logically. Yeah, I know. That means requiring your brain to have to think, and that's the main thing most people don't want to do. That's why people a lot of times assume and jump to conclusions that aren't true, because they're going to base those conclusions off their assumptions, which are wrong to begin with. That makes us wrong. And then we go off on a bad way, on a bad path, and gives us a bad attitude. That ain't no way to spend your day, with a bad attitude. That's going to keep you from having a great day. So anyway, we got through it. On the way back, there's others. It's barely daylight. It's overcast, so there ain't no sun shining through. And everything, people out there in dark vehicles with no lights on. And from just a small amount of distance, they blend into the road and everything else. Makes for a hard time seeing them. The one particular vehicle I'm thinking of, we got further on up the road. That one red light, I took off and was going pretty good. Well, they finally decided to start out the same with me. I wasn't trying to go fast. They started out with me. When I got to a certain speed, I noticed they was staying on my left rear quarter panel. So I put a little juice to it to step away from them, because folks like that will cause a wreck. And if you're the type to tailgate or to stay on somebody's rear quarter panel, guess what? That other car ain't the problem. You are. Because you're going to be the one that's going to wind up causing a wreck. Because there might be somebody y'all come up on that's going slower. One of you's going to have to bow up. Well, there might be cars coming that are going faster than you are, and you sitting there making it to where there's a blockage in the road. Can't nobody get around you. And if they ain't paying attention when they coming up speeding, guess what? They're going to hit you. Well, it'd be their fault for speeding and not paying attention, but guess what? It's your fault too for not making sure that there is a way of getting around. Hello? That's right. You're just as much at fault for causing that type of wreck as the person who is the primary cause. Because you weren't driving defensively and allowing for somebody like that to have a way of getting around you without causing any problems. And that way, if a cop happens to see him speeding and going around you, they're going solely after that car. But if a wreck is caused because they're speeding, not paying attention, and you're staying on somebody's rear quarter panel, you've not allowed for no outlet. They apt to get you too, because you're just as much at fault. It would seem like a lot of things like that be common sense. But People don't know how to do any defensive driving anymore. All they know is selfishness and me, 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 me. This is how I want to do it. Yeah, and that leads into something I was thinking of the other day about freedom. Folks, freedom is good. But what is freedom? Is it to do just whatever the heck you want to do? No. Freedom is a responsibility to do the right things. You know, life and people are messed up. And you know, if you just do whatever the heck you want to, eventually you're going to pay the piper, because there's going to be somebody else going to do just what the heck they want to too. And when you do it to them, they're going to do it to you, and they're going to be better at it. Then you're going to be in a messed up way, and then you're going to want justice. And guess what? They're going to come after you harder than the one that messed you up. Well, I don't know, the way things are topsy-turvy these days, they might get that other person because they reacted to your dumb stuff, making you the manipulator in that situation and causing a situation and making the person that reacted and did the right thing have to pay the price for your stupidity. Life is like anything else. You out in the woods or the jungle or something, you know there's dangers out there. You're going to just walk through there and do however you want to, and any of those dangers come along going to make them just have to deal with it? No. Those dangers are going to mess you up, and there ain't going to be a thing you can do about it. And if you happen to survive whatever occurs at that moment, you won't be living your life to the fullest afterwards, because you'll be messed up. You know, it's more than just thinking about safety and doing that. It's thinking about, how am I going to make it through this? You go in prepared. You know, a lot of you, of course, I ain't got to tell a lot of you survivalists and hunters and whatnot this, because y'all go out there and everything. Y'all are prepared with good stick pickers and pew-pews. You know, just in case one of them dangers happens to show up. And but a lot of people treat life like driving on the road and anything else like, well, you just got to deal with me. One of these days, somebody might just do that and deal with you. And you ain't going to like how that turns out, because you're going to be messed up. You know? Why? Because you didn't think about it, because you thought you could just do whatever the heck you wanted to do because you're free. You got freedom. Well, the thing about that is your rights end where mine begin. My rights end where yours begins. Yeah, when this nation first started up, you know, if you trespassed on somebody's property, acting like you could do whatever you wanted to do, you was apt to get some lead in you. Or some sharp steel. Because you dared to extend your rights over onto the rights of someone else. So freedom is a responsibility to do the right things. Who was it? Socrates? Or one of them philosophers from way back thousands of years ago. A free society can be free because they know how to govern themselves. In other words, they know that freedom is a responsibility to do the right thing. You don't do something just to tick somebody else off or just because you think you can. And even if you can, just because you can don't mean you should. When I had my strength, there was a lot of things I could do and could have done just because I had the strength to back it up. But it wouldn't have been right because although I could, there were things that I should not because they would have been wrong to do. So you go to do something, you think about it. Well, I can do this, but should I do this? Will I be doing something or someone wrong if I do it? That applies to stuff like drinking and smoking and doing whatever else you want to do. As long as you're doing it in a way that ain't going to affect anybody else, hey, more power to you. Do what you want. You want to sit at home and toke and get high or do something else to get high. Hey, as long as you ain't getting out on the roads and you ain't taking away from your family to do that thing you want to do, hey, more power to you. Do what you think you want to do. But the moment that it interferes or hinders somebody else's life, then I got a problem with it. If it's taken away from your kid, I got a problem with it. If it's causing somebody else in another home or on the road or whatever a hardship, then I got a problem with it. As long as you're doing it at home and it ain't going to take away or hinder or bother anybody else, go for what you know. I don't care. That's your business. That's your choice. So go for it. But the moment it hinders or bothers someone else or takes away from someone else, especially a kid, then I got a problem with it. You're manipulating things and telling stories to get sympathy so people will send you money. Well, you're just a scammer. And that's also wrong because you're playing on somebody's heartstrings in order to get financial gain or material gain in one way or another. Not to mention you're lying to get it. That just makes you a liar and a thief. Totally no good. Marine Corps, that's the one thing they stressed to us. There's nothing they couldn't stand any worse than a liar and a thief. You could be a murderer or something that's worse, but in order to be those, you got to be a liar and a thief because you got to lie to get it in order to thieve it. But being a liar and a thief is at the basis of any of that. So I see the logic of what my DIs taught me about that. Ain't nothing worse than a liar and a thief. That's why biblically, gossip is probably one of the worst things you can be. You talking about people who ain't got the full story, that's gossip. The old saying, ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing not nice at all. Well, that's a wrong teaching, because sometimes you got to be not nice in telling something, because that's showing a person kindness. Let them know they're wrong. It's like whipping your kid. If you discipline your kid, you're showing them love, because you're showing them right for wrong. Well, when you're telling somebody something that ain't nice because of what they're doing, you're showing them a kindness, kind of like that disciplinary action on kid, because you're letting them know they're wrong. But when you take and you see a part of something, and then you go run to gossiping to somebody else about it and assuming everything else about it, well, that's gossiping. And gossiping is telling lies, because you ain't got the whole story, but you spreading what you think it is all around like it's the God's honest truth, and you can ruin somebody's reputation. You ruin somebody's reputation, you've just committed murder. The biblical definition of murder in the Bible is not limited to extinguishing someone's physical life. It's extinguishing their ability to have a life. And when you go around gossiping, ruining a reputation, you make it harder for somebody else to make a living. That eventually leads to depression on the part of that person. They're struggling because their rep has been ruined because somebody went around gossiping. And now they're struggling, and they keep going down that spiral. And eventually they do wind up dead through starvation, or jumping off a tall building or something, because they just couldn't get a break, because somebody went around lying because they saw a part of something, not understanding what all was going on, and then went around spreading around that it was something else, as it was the gospel truth. And so everybody took your word for it and wouldn't give that person a chance at nothing. So a liar and a thief and a gossip are all one and the same. If you have a tendency to gossip, you're no different than that liar and a thief. And a liar and a thief is the worst it gets. So I don't care how nice you are and how pillar of the community you may think you are and people think you are. You gossip, you're a liar and a thief, because you've just lied on somebody and stole their life. Well, this has been long enough. Hope y'all have enjoyed the scenery, even though it's just that one shot. And on that, I'm going to say, Piggy loves you.